Wireframe Radio. This is part 2 of our conversation with Karthik Balakrishnan of SaveTheInternet.in. If you're looking for part 1, you can see the URL in the description below. Let's get started.
So I actually have a lot to say on generally like faith in humanity restored.
Please do.
Not because of the sheer number of people who do that. I think we tell enough people that it's something that concerns them, they'll do it.
Yeah.
I think it's an easy way to do it. There's no science, nothing special about that. But what I found really surprising was the stuff that happened otherwise. So take the example of GitHub, for example. I think Karthik would have seen this too. We had more pull requests than we had issues.
Okay.
We had more people willing to contribute to the project than we had people saying this is wrong, can you fix it? We had a Google spreadsheet, a Google form for everyone who had technical issues. So that was just to see, do a control F and see, okay, is everybody having Windows Phone issues, and then we can just fix the Windows Phone issues. We can't read every single one of them. But if you look at GitHub contributions, I think about 15 contributors now, I think, and there have been more pull requests than there have been issues. That number I can't repeat that enough. Like, you've had more people interested in contributing code than this, and there've been all sorts of fixes. There've been grammar corrections in the text. There have been alignment. Somebody said, you know what, we should do Facebook share. Some guy said, no, this is a better thing. And what I found really surprising was that there was no organization here. Like, there was nobody monitoring any of this. So me and one or two other people on our team was helping out, but those guys work full time, so I was the only one who's had enough time to work on this. So I was basically managing the entire thing, and they were helping out, and we'd assign work for you. A chunk of it was me, and at least initially. Now it's sort of split up. So I was the one monitoring the GitHub thing, okay, and seeing what everybody is up to, and it got so organized. It's not a large number of people. If you think 8 lakh mails and you only have 15 people contributing, it might seem like a small number. But what I found really surprising was that these guys just self-organized. Like after the first day, probably, so this happened on Sunday. By Monday, everybody already knew what each other's roles were. So they had discussions among themselves, and every time there was a relevant point that they needed to check with one of us, they just CC us, literally CC, and then at us at GitHub. And to the point where I didn't have to even monitor the conversations anymore because they were just like they said do this, do that. One guy submitted to read me. One guy said, you know, we should have a clear process on how you do pull requests, and this is like we should ensure a format, and everybody follows these guidelines. And it just like if you look at it now, it looks like a proper project, like pretty much like a proper project. There's a notes at the bottom that says this is how you contribute. Open a patch, name it like this, send it against the stage branch, not the master branch. We'll review and merge, and then if there are fixes, we'll ask you for fixes so that you get contribution and whatever. And everything is just like ad hoc. There's been nobody governing saying you do this, you do that. No roles assigned to anybody. Anyway, this is on the tech side.
It's kind of like the larger open source projects. They kind of self-organize quite a bit, and they have like maybe a few main project contributors who kind of just review stuff.
Yeah,
but
so
most of it is
you have maintainers, and then most of the people contribute. I think that's how the general system works. But this is just like a 3-day, bloody one page, man. It's an index.html. That's all this is. There's nothing more to it. And you still had so many people interested in contributing. So, yeah, so this was on the tech side. And the other thing was just like the kind of feedback we got. So we made an intentional effort to have no names put out.
Okay.
If you noticed, we didn't name drop an organization. We didn't name drop any specific person behind it, and it's very hard for you to find out who was behind this. Like you could look at GitHub, look at contributions, and find the person and track, which is what a lot of people did. But otherwise, there's no clear indication for the layperson to say who's behind this. So I think at the bottom it just said made with love by folks just like you.
Yeah.
Right?
In fact, I think there were tweets to your personal account saying that, did you make this, and you were replying to them.
Oh yeah, that happened for a bit. So yeah, I wasn't sure whether I should or not. But that's been like my thing, man. Like anybody in college who has seen that stupid thing at the bottom, I add that everywhere. Any project that I do, I add that. Made up by whatever. And anyway, so the kind of one is the response on. So the reason how people sort of figure out who we were behind the site was because of the stats we were tweeting. I couldn't help myself. Me and Kiran couldn't help ourselves. We're looking at the numbers on GA. We're looking at the number of emails on our script to count, and we had to just post about it. We just couldn't. And we're like, who cares? Like, he has about 7K followers. I have like 300, so it didn't make a difference. Not a big deal. And so yeah, so that's how people started finding. So on Twitter that they know who it is. Nobody else Twitter is like its own world, man. Like, it's just a tiny set of really active users, and then there's the rest of the world. Quite happy with how this turned out. So another aspect when it comes to kind of feedback we got, Twitter was really good. Like most of the people like, good job, this is a great thing, blah blah blah. And the kind of outpour was not targeted at any one person. The kind of outpour was just using the hashtag. So every company that came out saying we support this, we support neutrality, whether they change their profile picture or change their cover image. And this stuff too, things like profile picture and cover image, the stuff that people are currently using, were not things that were campaign designed. Like it is a bunch of, so Reddit was so organized that they set up subreddits. I'm sure Karthik would know this more. I think he's more active on Reddit. They set up subreddits to say this is the graphics thread for the Save the Internet campaign. So everybody who makes posters, put up an imager and link it here. Posters and memes and whatever else. So this is like a huge repository of the stuff now. So everybody who needed to pick something just went to Reddit, picked up a random thing and tweeted it. And all this is self-organized. It's just the mods on all the mods on Reddit. Yeah. So to me that was like a faith in humanity type moment. Like if this can happen, like even though it's like we all hate Airtel, we all don't want to pay for WhatsApp. Even if that's the uniting factor, I don't care. Like it's still something, right?
Yeah, I believe they made like a Google spreadsheet of all the people who were involved in like violating net neutrality, and they made like these one of the columns in the spreadsheet is like a tweet button. You click on the link, and it automatically fills out a tweet for you to a certain this thing.
So this is a tech solution from non-tech guys. Okay, so they have a spreadsheet. I don't know if I can probably find it and link it to you. So it's a spreadsheet that has all the companies that you should tweet at and their founders' handles, and the tweets links can be filled out, right? So you can do twitter.com/share question mark and fill out the tweet. So they fill up all the hrefs with that. So you just have to click on tweet and it will open up a tweet to that person and send the tweet at them. So everyone just had to visit the spreadsheet and keep spamming guys. So that just got people to reply. So
and then they started keeping track, I think, of the ones who hadn't been messaging sometimes, so that there was still some kind of like evenness across it. So that's also another.
So they actually accounted for guys who have not been tweeted at and held them higher up so people would read them. It's crazy. So
once people found out that, so after you were tweeting stats, did you get flamed by anyone? Like,
no one.
There are idiots on Twitter. Did anybody attack you personally?
I personally can say that I've not had a single person with something negative to say.
Okay.
Except a junior of mine today.
Okay.
Who was like, if net neutrality is, I don't mind violating net neutrality to give internet access to the poor people. To the poor people, was his tweet today, and we have got into an argument, but that's about it. Like, besides that, it's been literally 100% positive.
Okay. Nice.
I got publicly and saying something against it, so I don't know.
I think Bharti Airtel or something, one of the CEOs said something that it's not really an issue, something like that.
Oh, Anand C.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so he got cornered into a situation today. Airtel was not making any statements publicly, and then we had a bunch of guys. I think Rohin Dharmakumar, R0H1N.
Yeah.
He's a journalist. He used to work at firms. Now he's doing his own thing. So he basically so the campaign was like, if anybody is speaking publicly on Twitter, corner them to an arm. That is basically the logic. Anybody's coming out in a statement, just like grill them till they don't have a reply to say. And there's Anand C guy who's Airtel something, high up in Airtel. He just stopped tweeting. He's like, can we move this conversation off? And he's like, no, whatever you have to say, so you can say it publicly if it's short enough. You don't have to call me and tell me. You can just say it publicly. No response. So coming back to the other thing about the kind of response we got, the international response is what shocked me the most.
Okay.
Like once it started going slightly public, I got contacted by this group of students in the US for network neutrality or for open internet access or for whatever, general internet activism, and they were like, we're really interested in, we're really amazed or really glad that you're taking up this campaign in India, and we'd like to show our support. So can you let us know what we can do?
Okay.
And there was a professor, and in India we had, I had a professor from some university, I forget the name, some university in Andhra Pradesh. He's like, I'm the admin of this university. I have access to a Google Apps for Business education account.
Okay.
The unlimited list of domains. So if you guys have issues with email, I could probably boot up a bunch of free email IDs, something at savetheinternet.in, and
Okay.
give it to you guys for free. So you guys can have a unlimited number of inboxes, and it looks slightly better than giving a Gmail account when you're BCCing. And then there was this kid from Kochi who's a BTech, is a second year student, computer science from Kochi, and he wanted to make an Android app on Save the Internet, and he's just learning Android. So he mailed us and said, "I've built this. Can you take a look? Like, how can I help?" And like, I think all of us are really really happy with it because our tech team is really small. It's the three of us right behind it. We're really happy to get any sort of tech support. We're like, wow, yes, more people, not just people retweeting, people who are willing to spend effort and contribute.
Yeah.
So he's on the team now. Like, he's hanging around and he's like, I want to do this. Can I do that? Can I help with this?
Nice. Yeah.
And then there's even yesterday I got a mail from this kid in 10th standard in some college, some school in Hyderabad. He says he wants to run a campaign to get people in his area to send an email to try. And there is this one place in Hasan Nagar, Hussain Nagar, something, where they have free Wi-Fi. So he wants to organize a march so that all these guys go there, and he and his friends will have laptops, and they can all email try.
Okay.
And he mailed me saying, "I made this poster for this. Are we allowed to use it?" Like, that is basically because I said, "Yeah, but go there and use it." Like, who are we to say no, please? Yeah. So the interesting thing is going to be like this. There's so many instances, and this is only one I've encountered. I'm sure on our team we've got a lot more people who have spoken out like this. So I'm hoping to. I've already started documenting some of this, like compiling all of it. I just have to organize it now, and hopefully at the end of this, I want to publish this like a
Medium article.
like, I'm not a Medium article, please.
Dude, come on.
Have you seen your boss's Medium article? That went pretty well.
Yeah, the one on petrol, this thing. I don't know.
No, the AMA which we did on Bangalore startups.
Oh, you're on Bangalore startups, is it?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I heard about this. There is also the other company that is on Bangalore startups, Hike, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there also the cornered him and he didn't answer some question.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Like,
how does it
the
feel
reason I
to
say
be like
medium post is because you know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's basically a pyramid that says at the bottom you need food, and then something else, and then self-actualization at the top. And then there's this post which is Maslow's hierarchy of needs for engineers in Silicon Valley. There's something
startup
that medium post that goes viral.
Yeah, I've seen this. And somebody, I think somebody retweeted that saying it's so sad how true this is. Like, I'm part of the same culture, but I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
How does it feel being like the public face now of sales?
I am not the public face now.
One of the public faces. Then.
I am not one of the public faces. I have shockingly stayed away from being public.
How many followers do you have now, like after the thing?
It's 450. I think he's got like 150 more.
Yeah, I'm about 120 more. And almost 90% of that is attributed to Tanmay Bhatt. Okay, so I'll give you a retweet story. When we were hitting 100K, right? We thought like AIB, we were not giving anything back to AIB for this. So let them give out the numbers. Anyway, it's an internal number that only we can see. So we actually have a Slack group called Net Neutrality where we talk about and everything is managed. Okay. And he was also there. And we thought, you know what, we should let Tanmay tweet this out. Like All India Bakchod tweeted it because they've literally been the guys who started this, right? Like, we might have been the guys who built the site, but without them, this wouldn't have been possible. That's 100% clear. There's no substitute for AIB. Like, there might have been a substitute for us, but there's no substitute for an organization like, a group like AIB to do it. You can say TVF and whatever, but they're very few is my point. And we wanted him to quote the number. And he's like, no man, you guys did it. So like, I just made a stupid video and that's it. Like, I was even told what to say. Like, we went through a copy of what to say. So it's like, we really didn't do anything. You guys have done most of the work. So we stayed up late night and we were counting down to 100K and updating every couple of seconds. And we decided, like, somebody asked a question like, dude, let's just take bets on what time do you think we'll hit 100K.
Okay.
And what time did you decide on?
Yeah, so this is around 1:50 in the night, 1:50 a.m. And the bet started at 1:30, and we were about 96K or 97K or something. We were 3K off, And you could estimate like within a certain period, like approximately within about 5 to 10 minute range when we hit. So the accuracy just is within a 5 to 10 minute window. And suddenly I said, oh yeah, I'm up for this. I'll quote the score. Like, we quote this number. And I told him like, dude, if you're quoting this, then if you lose, you have to retweet my tweet saying we reached 100K. That is the rule. Like if you lose this, and he thought about it. He's like, are you serious? I said, yeah. Like, take a bet. Like that is the bet. And he's like, sure, man. I mean, I'm up for it. And then save a number. And then he lost, obviously. Obviously. So he had to. Yeah. So that is the diff between 300 and whatever to 400 and whatever is somewhere basically. I'm still getting notifications of somebody retweeting it, and that figure is 5 days old, 6 days old.
Awesome.
I didn't think this would happen. If you had this conversation with me 8 days ago, I'd be like, I'm just building some site. I have other things to do this week. Like I just want to get this over with. Hoping 5,000 people mail. I'll be very happy and then go back. Not 8 lakh, whatever. I think we might have crossed 9 lakh now. Let me check.
So how are you checking the mails exactly? Are you opening, like you're counting all the mails that have been, how are you tracking the number of mails being sent basically?
8,26,000 now. We wrote a script to check. You just logs into all the Gmail accounts and does an addition of scores and replies back.
Right.
It runs every 15 minutes. So we have a Slack community, right? So we just built a Slack webhook, and the script runs on a server and posts a message on Slack automatically. And he's called Bulletin Babu. Right. Everything is good handle.
What?
Which one?
You guys, it's been running for like a day or now. At Bulletin Babu.
Okay.
Let's check it out.
It's live.
Yeah,
yeah.
Pretty. And, it's got 221 followers. Oh, it's got. Okay, it tells you the new number of mails in the last half an hour.
Half an hour, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty nice. Email should try 826478, and it's been 1,800 in the last half an hour.
Yeah, 1,800 in the last half an hour. It's slowed down a bit, but yeah. We're hoping, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday we get more. If we can do a last push to 1 mil, like that would be insane. I think that's the number that people can actually be happy about, right? Like you participate in something that hit 1 million, that's a much better feeling than saying
it's a good metric.
We sent enough mails to try, right? Like there's a huge difference in how you.
We should stop.
It's a really good metric. So if you can get this, say. Hey, so when is this video going live, by the way?
So
this video is already live.
No, as in
but
when
no one
you
can see it. Okay,
I'll be editing it tomorrow and day after, and based on how. So next week sometime.
Okay, so I can quote something that might happen over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
I don't know. Exactly.
So okay.
We should try and push it a bit further. Maybe we can try and I guess.
So
it's an interesting story. People might want to
Personally, I'd like it to go out by Monday.
Okay, I want to say something, but I don't know if I can say it by Monday. I mean, by whether that'll happen on Monday or not.
When does it say?
Okay, you can try and predict the future. We'll definitely mention that this is
we can always
recorded on Sunday.
No, I'm not predicting the score. I'm predicting the. Actually, I think it's a public story now. We might have Tim Berners-Lee sending a mail to try.
Okay, nice.
So.
And how do you know this? Like.
Wait, will Tim Berners-Lee's message get through with all the
It's a public message. He's going to mail try and then issue a public letter, open letter saying, "This is what I said. Try. These are my views." Yeah, if getting him behind this would be a big deal, right? Nobody can argue with him. Like, I mean, even though he's probably overcredited, in the sense okay, he found out the internet fine, but that's no relevance in the actual context of the world right now.
Yeah.
But still, it's a very respectable figure to still say something, and it's someone that you can't dismiss. You can't dismiss his opinion on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got really strong views against zero rating. He thinks it's a horrible concept, and Arnab Goswami was nice enough to quote him on NewsHour on Monday at 9 p.m. saying, "If we don't explicitly outlaw zero rating, we are opening up any sort of discrimination, even positive, is still bad," and whatever. Did you guys see the interview, by the way, by any chance?
No.
NewsHour with Arnab Goswami.
Things.
Who did Arnab Goswami interview?
Tanmay Bhatt was on the show.
Nice.
There were 8 people. There was one from BJP, one from Congress, one from AAP, one guy from COI, which is the Cellular Operators Association of India. And there was one guy representing the telecom lobby, I think, and then Tanmay Bhatt, and then Rohan something, who's also... Tanmay and this Rohan guy were considered netizens. Like, that was the tag that they put under there. Everybody that was BJP AAP, this guy was netizen. So.
Should definitely make like a political party based around like netizens.
Netizen, yeah. A 5-star activist in netizen, yes, that sounds good.
You can have like an All India as like the, I guess, some part of the community. Anyway, so
yes.
How did that go down?
What, the interview? It was as expected. Everyone was just shouting and no point. Like, this literally just that's exactly what happened. And then Arnav just got angry because he
India needs an answer.
Like, he takes everything personally, and his data plan, oh my god, he took that. That is the most personal thing I've ever seen Arnav talk about. He was like, this is absolute nonsense. Like, if you guys are saying this, you guys are just on shaky ground. The telecom lobby should just come out and say, the telecom providers should just come out and say greedy and they want to make money. And his arguments are like, so the telecom arguments against why we want to regulate services is that, one, I think that's just out the window now. They can't argue that anymore. But initially they were saying that it affects our services. So WhatsApp interferes with SMS, Skype interferes with voice, like it's competing, and Skype pays Airtel nothing. WhatsApp pays Airtel nothing, and everyone's like, dude, they pay you for the data, we pay you for the data. That's all you get. Like, whether that competes with your service is your problem. Yeah. You want to build the next Skype, but don't. Like, that's the argument. And then, this eats into our revenue. And second, we had to pay so much to get the spectrum, because in India the spectrum bandwidth is really small. Like, the length, the height, the width of the spectrum. So each one has just got a really small band, and they have to maximize that as much as possible, right? So they have to pay. Obviously, that's a publicly known thing that they pay insane amounts of money for it. And the arguments of the return on investments are really low. Even though they're making profits year on year, quarter on quarter on data, and they're not losing money technically, the return on investments are still low. And Arnab Goswami was like, yeah, but that's your shitty business decision. You paid too much to the government. We shouldn't be the one paying for it. And that's sort of true. I guess you can't really put that cost on the consumer. It's the government who has to help out now. But yeah, so that is the gist of the entire debate. And Tanmay wanted counterpoints to everything that is said there. So actually, if you look at the interview now, you see him looking down all the time because he's WhatsApping on his phone. And he's WhatsApping our group. And we are all feeding him answers to all the questions.
Nice.
So if somebody quoted something, we'll have like a counterpoint saying, no, this year, this thing. And he seemed like the most informed person there. So.
Yeah, that's what the internet is like. You have access to all this information.
Exactly.
True netizen.
True netizen. So this also brings me to an interesting point. What do you think are the stats for this? Forget direct traffic, forget people typing in. Save the internet.in is a fairly simple name. Like, you can't misspell it, there are no variations. So besides direct traffic, what do you think the split up was between the other services? I include websites, I include things like BuzzFeed, all of them ran the story after a while, but yeah, what do you think the split was?
Probably like direct traffic a lot, because I think a lot of people not direct traffic.
No, forget direct traffic.
Facebook will probably be on top.
Yeah, Facebook is on top, but the shocking lead that they have is I'm at least surprised. So what do you think the breakup was between, say, Facebook and Twitter?
Like, Twitter is nothing in India compared to Facebook.
Yeah, but you see the amount of activity, right? Like, none of us engage with anyone on Facebook. We all engage only on Twitter. Anyway, I'm not trying to skew your analysis. What do you think it is?
Let's say Facebook like 50%, and everything else like 50%.
I expect Twitter
would be 10. Twitter is like 10.
Okay, so the breakup between in social between Facebook and Twitter is 93-7. So T.co referrals was 7% of the social thing, 93 was Facebook.
Okay.
And
that's AIB. That's AIB.
That's
like, people
AIB.
don't share the video on Twitter, they share it on Facebook.
is predominantly. I found also some interesting things that I heard about EIB. The predominant age group is between 18 and 25, college kids basically, which is why weekends are so popular for them. And they were so spot on with their stats. They're like, peak traffic is from 8 to 11, so expect peak traffic from 8 to 11. And the number of, like, if you were following my tweets at the time, the number of people on the site between 8 and 11 was close to 3,800. It was 100 when we launched. When the video came out, it was about 500 people on the site, active on the site at any given time. And by 9 o'clock, it was 3.5, 4K. And that's
when you have enough data points, you can make a lot of like correlations and such. You know, like more about what to think about.
Yeah. So again, if I were to go back and look at the stats, the most interesting thing has been the Bangalore, Delhi, Bombay breakup and how that's skewed after the weekend.
That's it.
So you look at it on the face of it now, aggregate, it doesn't look literally.
I feel like Delhi and Bombay have a larger population, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Bangalore seems much smaller.
It is small. It is the third largest. Bangalore is the third largest after Delhi and after Bombay. Bombay is the largest, then Delhi, then Bangalore. So on the face of it, aggregate-wise, it looks, yeah, that's expected. Like, it's nothing surprising. But if you look at it actually day by day as the events unfolded, Bangalore was leading by a huge margin because AIB is just like Bangalore crowd, and then which is I did not know. I thought it was more Bombay and Delhi. Anyway, so and then after that, once the press hit on Monday, everything else.
So now that you have experience with building viral products, what's next?
Oh, I'm going to start a podcast on how to build viral
No. Yeah, you should actually try
No,
that.
seriously,
Everyone should just assume.
Get a job at BuzzFeed. Now you have experience.
Oh my god. I do this and then get a job at BuzzFeed. Of all places. No, please. Yes, I will. I hope I do something equally significant enough to be invited again. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, we'd love to have you again. Especially if we're talking about Tinder again.
Yeah.
Let's say, yes, I'm the expert at Tinder, right? Sure.
Or just general tech small talk. That would be fun.
Yeah, we can do this more.
Have a TLDR version of this also. I think 40 minutes might be too long.
Alright, so thanks to everyone for listening. The website is savetheinternet.in. If you haven't been on it already, you can go send it out.
Yeah, please do. Hopefully this video is out before 24th.
Push 1 million.
Yeah, maybe through product as well.
What would be epic if you already if you cross 1 million by the time this video comes out?
Yeah.
I would be really happy.
So maybe we're saying 1 billion, but people can't hear us properly because our mics suck.
Yes. Oh, we should record multiple endings so this is
Yeah, totally.
like, oh shoot.
Oh no, we didn't reach.
We are like 9999 or 9998 or 99. Yeah, these are multiple endings.
Yeah.
Hey, cool.
Alright.
This has been fun, man.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.